Well, hello, Miss Tina. Hey, Miss Roxy. Hey, Halo. Good early afternoon, Scorpma. Hey, Scorpio Mama. Hey, y'all. Make sure y'all hit the like button on the way in, okay? So, good morning, good early afternoon, okay? Well, hello, brother of a certain age. How you doing, sir? Okay. All right, make sure y'all hit the like button on y'all way in, okay? If you can, okay? Share your girl out, okay? I'm not gonna do no cussing today, okay? Cause I ain't mad at nobody, okay? And y'all pray for me for real though, because I really be trying not to cuss, you know, on these panels, okay, and even in my real life, but I have such a sailor, remember when they used to say sailor mouth or whatever? Yeah, yeah, what was it? Sailor. She cussed like a sailor. Cause y'all the sailors used to do a whole lot of cussing for real. Okay? Like for real. Hold on, y'all. My kids, they getting ready to go to the store with me and they just, I gotta let them know. Jenny, you really don't need that jacket on, boo. Okay? It feel good outside. Okay. Hey Joe. Okay, I'm glad you in here. Okay, y'all. So and once again, okay, because y'all know how people be like, your mama didn't raise you. No, okay. My mama, I mean, no, she did raise me, but my mama didn't cuss a lot. Okay, it was really my father's. I blame all the not so great stuff on them, even though I love my daddies, y'all. Okay, because y'all know I have a father and a stepfather. But anyway, what was I finna say? Wait, y'all, hold on. Just give me 1 second, okay? Remember, I got 4 little people, okay, and we finna go to the stove. All right. Okay, yeah, I'm back. So listen, um, I mean, it's kind it. Hold on, y'all. Y'all, they in here trying to put on sweatpants and stuff. I mean, we just going to the store real quick, but I'm like, it's 80 some degrees. You don't need to be walking outside with coats and thick clothes and stuff. Okay, they already little. You know what I'm saying? They gonna sweat, the little fat they got on them off. Okay, you know what I'm saying? We just trying to help them out. But hey, Joe. Okay, so listen, y'all. Okay, um, there have been some really wonderful, motivating. And even like, have y'all ever been in a situation where, you hear somebody talking about, some things that you've been through and you've already kind of, went over it in your mind already. But SBK's live last night, y'all, was so great because not only did I, like I said, I kind of healed a little bit, because it's like when you own something, you know what I'm saying, and you're accountable, it really does give you some type of freedom. You know what I'm saying? And in today's day, that really seems to be a problem, for all, I ain't gonna say all of us, but I'm gonna say all of us, because I know who I'm talking about, because I got issues too, y'all. I own all my little craziness. But But I was, of course, you go back, you listen to replays or whatever. And I just was like, there is so much in life, that people think don't matter or people, are under the impression is not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? But what you listen to and what you feed yourself. Y'all know how we say, like, if you read the Bible or whatever, you go to church, that feeds your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Um, what you listen to here on YouTube plays a really big part in your psyche. Okay. And I just want to say that, if you're listening to negativity all day, you know what I'm saying? And you're even, whether you're a part of the community, like in a way where you're actually going live and speaking on the subjects, or if you're just a subscriber, a supporter, um, just you have to be careful with that because I had said over on the live, like, some people have been like beefing for 10 years, and I was saying, like, it's like a mental, to me that's like a mental trap. But I'm gonna tell y'all what somebody recently told me. When you are chaotic, you know if you can be, when you have drama on the internet with people you've never met, that has to affect your environment. That has to say something about your environment. And I just wanted to say on my own channel, over here, because I was saying that I was caught up in all this stuff, because I kind of just like was going through a lot. And the truth is, y'all, I was feeling chaotic in my real life, and I didn't really have, it was like I was trying to learn how to, you know, deal with certain things, and the things that I couldn't deal with or didn't want to deal with or just tried to run away from, I had used YouTube as an outlet. And I know, I'm like 31 years old, or whatever, but it's when I think about it, a lot of the stuff that I, entertained and went through, and people that I just, gave my trust to, it's a little embarrassing, and I'll tell you why. Because although, I had these relationships with strangers, and I had a support system. I had people that I could talk to. I even had a therapist. But because I no longer wanted to work on self or focus on self, I found a way to, you know, get certain things out through having a opposition, or somebody to be mad at, or somebody to flex on, somebody to, just kind of distract me. And I say somebody because I had a whole bunch of different ops. But, you know, I said all that to say, some of us have decided to move on, or, we're trying to. And I just want to say, like, keep going. Because I made a community wall post this morning that I saw last night on Facebook. I just copied y'all. I didn't make that. But, don't let nobody, okay, bring you, back to a place that you've already leveled up from. I'm not saying I've just done this outrageous leveling up. I'm not saying that everything in my real life is perfect, but it's like, don't be a fool, use wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Because, and I'm just saying, I'm really kind of speaking to the people that's from my community, and we be struggling, behind these scenes, because we're so, and I'm not going to say, I'm just so much different than them, because I hadn't been in it that long. And shout out to Too Strong for, keeping it real and saying, like, it's like an addiction. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you may take one step forward today and then, backslide next week. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody done said something to tick you off. But I'm here to say, that's somebody that's in it, somebody who was in it too deep, somebody who was doing too much, somebody who, also, in my opinion, I caused a lot of situation, and I was a victim of situations, so it's like, for me, you know, I'm learning to give myself a little grace, because although I wasn't, I may not have been in it for, like, a long, long time, it still was 365 days, okay, times two. Y'all know, like, so I still was a part of it in a way that it has affected me and even my psyche just a little bit. And when I was, listening to myself on SBK panel, it's like, man, I'm kind of feeling embarrassed because it's like, I'm a wife. I have 4 children. You know what I'm saying? I had 2 jobs. I have a huge family. Like during this time, my auntie was, you always on YouTube. You always talk to them people that you don't know. You know what I'm saying? But my bad, y'all. My daughter called my name. But it's like I had so many like people that even saw, like even still watch me to this day. Still, support me, on the Women Empowerment channel and on, my other many channels. But they were even like telling me like, no. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong, y'all. I am grown, okay, but and I really don't like admitting this part. But even though I am grown, okay, um, I was still very young minded, thinking, a certain kind of way and thinking that people had my best interest and thinking that you can just trust people. You know what I'm saying? And I am here to admit that that was and is foolish, but it's not the end of the world, because like I said, I was feeling kind of embarrassed, but it's like you never I try to like make things good because it's like you never know who's listening and what other people are going through. And because a lot of sometimes I look up and I'll have like 200-300 views. Okay, so 200-300 out of them, I mean, yeah, 238 people, okay, maybe 2 or 3 of them people are in a bad social media situation. And sometimes some of the things that we talk about here on YouTube, I can honestly say I've listened to people going through some stuff, that's kind of childish, and it will make me feel a little grateful that I don't think like that, or I'm not in that situation, or, thank God for pulling me out of that situation that I was in. You know what I'm saying? You just never know who's listening, right? So I said all that to say, you know, shame is good because, it'll keep you from, doing something that you already know better than. And I do feel very much so ashamed of the fact that, it's not like I, didn't have any children. It's not like I didn't have a spouse. It's not like, I didn't have family. I just chose to, you know, do something that, in my opinion, wasn't very healthy because I just was like, I could take all my frustrations out on here. And even though I didn't do it the same way other people did it, it's still wrong. You know, I always say, oh, I didn't drag no dead people, I didn't talk about kids, but I still was out here keeping up, trouble, drama, negativity, rumors, slander, cussing folks out, talking about people's issues that they talked about themselves, jumping on bandwagons. It was just all clown stuff, like real talk. It just all clown stuff. And, you know, some days, I think to myself, I'm gonna go live and, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna call such and such out. And then I sit back and I be like, you're just gonna waste even more time of your life. Like you have to get out of the loop. You have to get out of the mindset. You have to push forward, and I'm just trying to say, y'all, the devil is busy. He be all up in your mind. you know if you ask me, you know when you start to feel out of control, you know because that's how certain things can make you feel. You know what I'm saying? It like next someone talking down on you, someone lying on you, somebody being subliminal, somebody, it can make you feel like, oh, I need to address this, I need to get ahead of this, this person lying on me, I'm a, tell all on them. But I'm recognizing that a lot of you all on here, y'all have persevered through real life things, and y'all talk about, how y'all ignore a lot of negativity and y'all don't address it, or if y'all see somebody hating on y'all, y'all make them hate y'all even more. So it's like, sometimes you may feel like you're out of control, because that's how I feel. I really feel like I need to fight. I feel like I need to stand up for myself. I feel like I need to throw shade. I feel like I need to, you know, but what does it cost you? I definitely can tell you. It costs you your peace of mind. People look at you like you crazy. Okay. Two, you know, it's like, why does, she care so much about what people think? You know what I'm saying? And I kind of made a joke to somebody and was like, I take offense to the weak-minded comments, but the reality is you have to have a strong mind to be able to take what people say about you and not respond. You have to have some type of self-control, self-love, self-respect, and discipline to see that someone is out for you, or, can't stand your guts picking at you, and you ignore it. You know what I'm saying? And that takes practice. And I'm saying that because I'm practicing that. It is not easy. I said yesterday, on SBK panel, yo, it's been about 15 years. Okay. I was in high school, when this behavior wasn't even really acceptable then, because they teach you in school, you know, hey, it's somebody bullying you, or, trying to bring you down, ignore them, tell the teacher, but when you become an adult, ain't no teacher to tell. So who do you tell? God. Yeah, I just threw that out there, but that's really how I be feeling. Like, man, I wish it was somebody to tell on you, so they could check. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I be feeling that way. Okay, I'm just being honest. That's just what I be thinking. But in situations in real life, once you become an adult, you know, you got somebody that's just can't stand you, don't like you, you know what I'm saying? Always got something bad to say about you, trying to recruit people against you, you know, tell God, okay, he'll definitely do something about it. He'll check you too though. Because I don't be innocent, y'all. Okay. I talk crazy. Okay. I have all the clapbacks. We can fight. Okay. All right. Like we can do all that. All right. I'm a little too old to be out here fighting though. Okay. So but yeah, that's all I wanted to say, y'all. So, for the people that's, trying to do good and stay on the good foot, first of all, y'all, we have to stop watching and listening to them people. Okay. It's like we do good. Okay. And then, I know I do. I'm going to speak for myself. I know I be cool. And then it'd be like, let me go. This is what came to me last night. Why are you keeping up with your enemies? Why are you keeping up with people that don't like you? Why you going to go look for something to be mad about? Why is you doing that? I gotta be honest, y'all. I be bored. Okay, I be bored. Okay, so I gotta find me something else to do. Okay, other than going to go see what people are saying about Vaughn. Okay, even though y'all, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I get a kick out of it. But that's the trick of the enemy, though. Okay, what'll make you laugh now, make you cry later. I heard that. Somebody who said that. I heard somebody say that last night or this morning. I can't remember, y'all. I be listening to so much stuff. But yeah, okay. Like, so that's stop keeping up with your enemies, okay? Like real talk. Stop it. Okay. All right. I had a little motto going a couple, like I want to say maybe the month before. I don't keep up with my enemies. I let them keep up with me. And I stopped saying that. You know what I'm saying? So, because Joe was talking about like a routine, and having yourself a routine is good. I think That's what I wanted to say, Joe. I want to start an affirmations routine. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all remember the lady, you is smart, you is, because when I get in the habit of saying certain things over myself, y'all, I do feel better. You know what I'm saying? I want to do better. I think better. And, we have to feed ourselves. Y'all know the saying, you can't pour it from an empty cup. You know what I'm saying? So, I gotta start. Yeah, affirmation. How that sound, y'all? Y'all like affirmations routine? Y'all like that? What y'all saying in the chat? Joe says awesome. 100. I said what I said. Here you go, score. Being nosy can girl. Y'all, okay. All right, y'all pray for me. If Alice don't laugh, then it's time for all of us to kick some rocks. I'm rolling. Hey, Abril, my baby. How are you? Okay. The heart, this heart has saved my butt. Agreed, I said what I said, Abril. It matters what you answer to, not what they call you. That's right. I said what I said. Okay, I think I said, hey, Miss Tina. Okay, y'all just talking. Yeah. But SBK in here. Hey, SB. Hi, Senna. Good morning, sis. I saw your community wall. I love you regardless, girl. I know you be working. Hey, SBK. Great live last night. And I'm gonna say this too, y'all. Hey, Anaya. Hey, big sis. Okay. All right. I think I said hi to everybody. If I missed anybody else, cause I gotta get up off here, cause my kids are just gonna melt if I don't take them to the Dollar Tree. So, you know. But yes, okay. So yes, Miss Alice, okay, accentuating the positive, and I just gotta keep being honest with y'all. The reason I'm doing this live is because, I joke and I play a lot, I troll, oh, I'm just trying to do good, and I be serious at the same time. But it's like people really don't talk about their struggles with certain things, and some things can be really minor. But when you get used to doing something, you gotta talk yourself out of it. You know what I'm saying? All right. Like and that's all I'm saying. You have to feed your mind positive things. Like when you're so used to being negative. Like I could talk about this all day because I went through some things in real life where I started complaining so much, y'all, that it was like I didn't even realize that I was doing so much complaining, and it depletes you of your energy. It's like your mind is only focused on what can go wrong. It's kind of like you just lose all hope, and it's like you just kind of give up, you know. And I was so, just what's the word, pessimistic. I had become so like much, yeah, I had become so much of a pessimist, you know positive and uplifting, encouraging words and people's videos had become so cheesy to me. It felt unreal. And I'm not talking about watching YouTube. I'm talking about, how when people were posting, positive content on Facebook and Instagram, I would skip right past those videos because it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, that's how deep in. So it's like me being a part of a negative community on the internet was fairly easy. You know what I'm saying? Because I had already kind of changed and reprogrammed my mind because of what I was going through. You know, I wasn't, every time something went wrong, I was just super, negative. And what's crazy is like, you know, I hadn't even noticed it. I hadn't even noticed it. Like it just kind of happened so I ain't gonna say fast, but it's very easy to focus on the negative. It takes faith, strength, courage, and really, just consistency of doing whatever it is that you're doing, to like see things on the bright side. You know what I'm saying? If you know, give up because one little thing didn't go your way, or like y'all, this is how jacked up I was. I just want y'all to hear me. I would be having a good day, you know, and then something would happen and it would ruin my whole day. And I'm talking about in real life. Like it would ruin my whole day, because in my mind it was like, I was just having a good day. Why this man, if it y'all know how us black folks, if it ain't one thing, it's another. You know, and then it was like, yeah, that's just how I was. So, and Joe, she's talking about, we should do, three things we're grateful for in the morning. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, okay? When she first said it, I missed that part of the live, okay? So I had asked Miss Alice, I'm like, are you and Joe doing a challenge or something? And she was like, she said it in her live. And I'm like, oh, I must have missed that part. So on Monday, okay, I'm gonna do the grateful things. I'm gonna be honest with you, Joe. Um, I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be real. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm actually kind of nervous because, you know, I'm still working on being a positive person, but I don't want people to think I'm like cheesy. So, you know, just work with me, okay? So if you see something on there like, I'm thankful KJ didn't ask me for McDonald's this morning, okay? Just laugh because I really don't. I really, I'm not, I know how to. I'm gonna put it to you like this: when tragedy strikes, it's got to be something big for me to like really, But I want to work on that because in Bible study, well, my church, teaches us to pretty much go to God about any and every little thing. I'm working on that because I be feeling like some things are really petty, but I will be, transparent and tell y'all because I have like you know, anger issues and stuff. I've been giving some of that over to God, and I really do feel a lot better. I do. Okay. And I used to think that was petty. I didn't need to pray about being angry. You know what I'm saying? I really used to think, to me, I did. It was like if I would just not be angry, but I was trying to do it by myself. I wasn't praying and asking God to, um, help me be more patient. Like I didn't have the words, y'all, because I didn't know what to pray. I just was trying to practice, and I'm gonna say quote unquote, because how I look at things now is I was trying to do a lot of stuff by myself, but I wasn't leaning on God, who can really change my heart, you know what I'm saying, and my mindset. I didn't know that he could really help you with that. I just kind of thought God answered prayers, for other stuff. I'm just being honest, y'all. I didn't care that much. But yeah, so I'm gonna do it, okay. But if you see some stuff that just look kind of funny, just work with me. All right, I'm gonna post it in your little community thing, because But yeah, so that's all. That's all I wanted, y'all. All right, I'm a reformed people pleaser. I said what I said. My priority has changed. I now focus on pleasing God. Amen, Miss Alice. Some people can take you there. You have to regroup. Hey, Joy. Hi, honey. Okay, too much nosiness. Yeah, I need to ask the Lord to help me, mind my business. She said, I want you to focus on the little things. See, yeah, Joe, I don't know how to I don't know, you know, but I'm gonna figure it out though. Okay. I'm gonna figure it out. All right. Yeah, Joy. And yeah, yeah, Joy. We love the Jesse. All right. No, 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 no. It's Joe. Glow. I mean, you can call her what. Yeah, that's between y'all. All right, y'all. But I'm gonna go. I hope y'all, have been blessed by this, live transparency and yes, listen. Oh, y'all, Miss Tina. I'm actually glad you're here. Um, y'all subscribe. I shared Miss Tina out on my community wall. She has a lot of really good conversations. She has like these deep, to me, Miss Tina, is just, I'm gonna say this, y'all. I feel her spirit. Okay, like when my first couple encounters with her, I really could feel that, she was like a true woman of God. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Miss Alice, but she liked to talk a little more. So, but she like y'all just go listen to it because I've had one-on-one conversations with her on panels, and you can really feel like that she really ain't nothing to play with. But yeah, y'all go subscribe up to her because I listen to her at night. Sometimes I don't always catch her replays. I mean, not her replays. I don't always catch her lives, but I listen to her replays. And she has really, really good conversations. um I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I really don't just be calling everybody women of God, and it's no shade to nobody, but and I only said she's like Miss Alice to me because that's just how, well, like when I'm listening to her, I could just, it's like you could just feel something. And I call, we call it, the Holy Spirit, we call it God or whatever, but you can just feel that she about the right. Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah, Miss Alice. I love her voice too. But it's like you can just feel that what do we call it? That, God is working through her. When she talks about God, when she talks about real life, but just go listen to her, okay? Just go listen to her. All right. Thank you, Abril, for dropping her link. But yeah, y'all go listen to her, and they're, like I said, they have panels sometimes, or she be on they panel and they stream it out, but they have really good conversations. And in my opinion, I don't mention her enough, but I think she's a really good channel. Y'all subscribe, okay? Listen, support in the chat or whatever, share her out. But yeah, and y'all know I like them deep conversations and stuff. Y'all know I really like that. That's what it's called, Miss Alice, anointing. Okay. Yes. So y'all go check her out. All right. She said, "Yeah, Vaughn, I never hear you call me a woman of God just because I'm female." Sis, what did I tell you last night? Okay, y'all. Okay. Um, listen. Okay, I don't even know what to say to that because what I want to say I can't say. Okay, because then my sis, she gonna pop me. But what I will say is, y'all, yes, my sis do cuss a little bit, okay, but trust me when I say she know God, okay, she do. And that's why she's, my sis. That's why I rock with her. She, honestly, y'all, she really ain't nothing to play with either. Okay. I'm gonna say this. I feel like, when I do, get, just a little, mature in age, I'll be a lot like her. That's just how I feel. Because we a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's gonna be like, because everybody can't be like, Miss Alice and Miss Tina. Okay. Everybody. And my mother, okay, yeah, But all right, y'all, I'm finna go. I'm finna go. All right, I'll see y'all later. She say, when you going back during, huh? When you going back during the Bible Vine? I don't know. I did a Proverbs yesterday. I did a proverb, I mean, yesterday. Um, you know, Miss Roxy, I just pray for me, girl. Okay, I don't know. I do whatever I want to do on this channel. So maybe, as I grow spiritually, I really start doing whatever it is the Lord wants me to do. Y'all, that's the class I'm in Bible study right now. And we are actually talking about uh this is literally what it said, y'all. Um you can't stay where you are and uh where's my book? Because I want to quote it right because it really did hit. It was like, okay, so hold on. Okay, let me I'm gonna just read this one book. Yeah, y'all, we do have real Bible study books that's not the Bible. It's like workbooks and stuff. Um, okay, so this is what the less we're talking about obedience. Um, not really. sacrifice, but we're talking about obedience. Okay. So this is what it says. It says you cannot stay where you are and go with God in obedience to his will. So yeah. hmm So, as I grow spiritually, yeah, because that's what we're talking about, doing God's work, and like once you get saved and stuff, you're supposed to do, God's, not do God's work, but we're supposed to, be disciples and stuff. No, they not telling me I need to preach or nothing like that. It's just, making adjustments in your life so that you're living inside of God's will and not your own. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all know anything about, you know, uh, you know, God, you kind of have to. Ain't no kind of. You have to. Once you give your life over to Christ, you have to. There is no, all of this other stuff. But I'm gonna go because I don't want to talk too much and be a hypocrite and y'all get to asking me questions. And I ain't got time for all that. Okay, I'm still working. Okay, on myself and God is still working on me. So y'all just be patient. Okay, all right, all right. That is a word, Miss Alice. I love you. I love y'all. Okay. Oh well, thank you, Joe. Okay, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna see y'all later. And y'all be cool. Okay, even when you don't even when you don't want to being okay, even when you don't want to, being obedient makes you do the right thing. Yes, sis. Yes. I took a real deep breath because I'm working on something. Okay, it's hard, y'all. It's real hard. But I love y'all and I'll see y'all later, okay? All right. I think I'll see y'all at the bar tonight. Okay, yeah. All right, bye.